Egyptian Mao, Cleopatra in the feline world. Charm is felt in every movement of the beauty. Caution, her spotted fur coat and piercing eyes can drive you crazy. The Egyptian Mao can be proud that her ancestors walked freely through the chambers of the pharaohs and were considered sacred animals. The royal nobility has been preserved in modern cats living far from the majestic pyramids and sand dunes of Egypt. In ancient times, the beauties of the Mao were worshipped on a par with the gods. Now the cult has weakened, but few will resist the desire to express their reverence and tenderly touch the silky cat's fur. A few millennia ago, the Egyptian Mao managed to tame a person and win his admiration. To this day, these cats hold the title of one of the most magnificent breeds in the world. History of the Egyptian Mao breed. The origin of beauties goes back to the 6th-5th millennia BCE, the harsh era of the pharaohs, servile worship of gods, trade in living goods and unsanitary conditions that amazed the imagination. Egypt managed to become a wealthy and majestic country despite the proximity of the desert and the regular floods of the Nile River. The ruling dynasties bathed in luxury and honor. Commoners were forced to get along with an unfriendly fauna, rats, poisonous snakes and insects, which made an already difficult life even more burdensome. Fortunately for the Egyptians, not all animals were hostile. African cats, the future progenitors of the Mao, often came to modest settlements, destroyed parasites and left just as silently. Over time, the unexpected alliance strengthened. In gratitude for their help, the Egyptians encouraged cats with treats from their own food supplies and perpetuated their noble appearance and art. Animals were allowed to enter the house, and soon they completely got used to the role of owners. This marked the beginning of the full-fledged domestication of African cats, which were used in hunting. The first image of a domesticated cat found in the temple dates back to the 2nd millennium BCE. At that time, animals played an almost central role in religion. The Egyptians believed that the main deity, the sun god Ra, turns into a cat, rising to heaven in the morning and going underground in the evening, where Apophis is waiting for him every day, the god of chaos, eager to enter into battle with a rival. In ancient drawings, Ra was often depicted in the guise of a huge spotted cat, tearing apart the enemy with sharp claws. The connection of the four-legged beauties with the supreme god of the pantheon was seen in their eyes. It was believed that the pupils of cats determine the position of the sun above the horizon. The wider they are, the lower the heavenly body. In fact, the change in the size of the pupils is associated with their physiological feature, but in ancient times the incomprehensible nature of things was always explained by the intervention of higher forces. From about the 1st millennium BCE, cats were ranked among the cult of Bastet, the goddess of beauty, fertility and home. She was portrayed as a woman with the head of a cat, sometimes completely in the guise of an animal. The servants of the temples increasingly began to keep four-legged companions with them, the living embodiment of Bastet. Cats roamed freely throughout the sanctuary, which was inaccessible to commoners. To forbid animals to do anything was considered almost a mortal sin. They knew how to talk to the gods and protected the worshippers from the dark forces. Amulets with their image brought the owner good luck and love. The sanctuary of Bastet, Bubastion, the Egyptians visited more often than others. Every day, the faithful handed over to the priests mummified cats, which were buried in separate rooms along with rodents and a vessel filled with milk. According to mythology, the animals ended up in the afterlife, where they met with Bastet and conveyed to her the requests of the pilgrims. An amazing legend is associated with the ancestors of the Egyptian Mao, which emphasizes the importance of cats. So, the Persian king Cambyses from the Achaemenid dynasty won an easy victory over the Egyptians in 525 BCE thanks to these animals. On his orders, the soldiers captured the cats and tied them to their shields. The fright of Bastet's sacred companions became a decisive factor. The townspeople laid down their arms because they did not want to harm the cats. Despite the ancient origin, the history of the more modern descendants of the Egyptian Mao began in the 20th century when European cat breeders decided to revive and breed a unique breed. The first mentions of that time date back to 1940, namely the publication in France of the memoirs Our Cat Friends. In them, Marcel René talked about the spotted animals that he brought from Egypt. Unfortunately, the events of World War II significantly reduced the number of Mao. The breed was on the verge of extinction, and by the middle of the 20th century, it practically ceased to exist. The repeated revival of the Egyptians was successful, largely thanks to the work of Natalia Trubetskoy. The Russian princess emigrated to Italy during the war, where in 1953 she first met the magnificent spotted animals. They were presented as a gift by a Carian. So, Trubetskaya became the mistress of Gregorio and Geppa of black and smoky colors, respectively, as well as the silver cat Lilu. In the same year, the first babies were born, which the princess immediately announced to the representatives of the Italian branch of the International Cat Organization, FIFE. In 1955, gorgeous beauties appeared at the Roman exhibition, where they made a splash. 3 years later, Trubetskaya changed sultry Italy for the unexplored romance of the United States and took several silver cats Baba and Lisa, as well as a bronze baby named Jojo. This is how the first Mao nursery, Fatima, appeared in America, where, under the guidance of Princess Trubetskoy, a team of breeders began breeding Egyptian beauties. At the same time, they decided to allow cats of smoky, bronze and silver colors to participate in exhibitions. The black-haired animals were kept exclusively for breeding. Natalia Trubetskaya was engaged in the selection of kittens that are as similar as possible to the ancient Egyptian cats from the frescoes. All the wards of the Fatima kennel were conditionally united into a traditional Mao line. In the future, the breed was divided into 2 more branches, Indian and Egyptian. Cats brought from the respective countries took part in their creation. The appearance of individual Mao suggests that American short-hair cats were also involved in the selection. Official recognition of the breed by philinological organizations began in 1968 when the CFF representatives approved the Mao standard. The Egyptian fever was picked up by other organizations, CFA, 1977, TICA, 1988, FIFE, 1992. A new breed from the land of the pharaohs was also recognized by the lesser-known ASC, ICU, WCF pedigree and pedigree records from the studbook were used to register each cat. Egyptian Mao returned to Europe in 1988. At the same time, 3 official kennels were created on the initiative of Mao lovers. Now representatives of the breed are found in Belgium, Italy, Great Britain, the Netherlands, Germany, France, and Switzerland, although the number of breeders is still negligible. The lion's share of nurseries is in America, which does not want to share the achievements in the selection of Egyptian Mao. It is a rare success to acquire a miniature copy of an African predator. The appearance of the Egyptian Mao. Representatives of the breed have a distant resemblance to the Abyssinians, with the exception of a remarkable color. Despite the origin, Egyptians are not like typical Oriental cats, their physique is more massive, but not devoid of graceful lines. The Egyptian Mao is a medium-sized short-haired breed. The weight of animals varies according to gender. Cats are somewhat larger than their friends, their weight is 4.5 to 6 and 3 to 4.5 kilograms, respectively. Head and skull. The head of the animal looks like a small wedge with smooth outlines. There are no flat areas. The rounded forehead is marked with a characteristic M-shaped point. The contours of the skull are smoothed, there are no depressions or protrusions. Muzzle. The muzzle of the Egyptian Mao fits into the line of the head, perfectly balanced. It is characterized by a rounded wedge shape. Full cheeks are allowed only in sexually mature cats. The cheekbones are quite high. The stop is a smooth bend without kinks. The cat's evenly wide nose is set at a slight angle to the forehead. There is a hump. The chin is small but strong. It is formed by medium-sized jaws. The latter can be pronounced in adult males. Ears. The crown of the cat's head is crowned with triangles of medium and large sizes, continuing the line of the head. The ears of the Egyptian Mao have a wide base, set with a slight inclination forward, rather far from the center line. The tips are pointed, tassels are welcome. The auricles are covered with short hair. Eyes. The slightly slanted eyes of the Egyptian Mao are distinguished by a wide set. The shape is an intermediate stage between round and almond-shaped. The iris is pigmented in a light shade of green. Amber eyes are characteristic only for representatives of the breed up to 1.5 years old. Egyptian Mao have a surprised and funny look. Neck. The short neck of the cat is smoothly curved. Strong musculature is felt under the skin, a more pronounced relief is characteristic for males. On the line of the ears towards the back of the head, a scarab is seen, a mark in the shape of the Latin letter W. Housing. Egyptian Mao are animals with an elongated and elegant body, which does not spoil the developed muscular system. At the same time, a well-balanced torso is preferable to a large size, regardless of gender. Angled shoulders are more developed in cats than in cats. The back is straight. The abdomen is decorated with a fold of skin, which, according to felinologists, makes the movements of the Mao easier and more flexible. Tail. The tail of the Egyptian Mao is of medium length, changing its width from the base to the tapered tip of a dark shade. Extremities. The hind legs of the Egyptian Mao are longer than the front. Despite this difference, the cat does not look stooped. The muscles and bones are strong but mobile. The paws are round, or oval in shape. The toes on the hind legs are more elongated than on the front ones. Their number also differs, 4 and 5, respectively. Wool cover. The short Mao coat is close to the body. Despite its insignificant thickness, it perfectly protects its owner from bad weather. The texture of the coat mainly depends on the color of the animal. Silvery and bronze beauties are distinguished by a soft fur coat, while smoky ones are more silky and smooth. Color. The standard for the Egyptian Mau provides 3 color options. Silver, from light to medium saturation. The points are contrasted with a dark gray or black shade. The edges of the eyes, lips and nose are pigmented black. The tips of the ears are dark. The neck, chin and space around the cat's nostrils are covered with white hair. Bronze, a dark shade goes to the belly and a lighter, almost milky. The markings on the body and the tips of the ears are dark brown in color. The cream color is typical for the hair on the throat, chin, as well as the area near the tip of the muzzle and around the eyes. The bridge of the nose is colored ochre. Smoky, from dark gray to almost black. A silvery undercoat is visible. The points contrast with the base color. Hair ticking is inherent in the first 2 types of colors, while in the third it is completely absent. The markings are predominantly round. Possible defects. The main defects of the Egyptian Mau breed are amber pigmentation of the iris in animals older than 1.5 years, long hair with a thick undercoat, like the British, overly small or large ears, marks merging with each other, full cheeks in females, short and or pointed muzzle, small and a round head, points on the body in the form of stripes, short and or thin tail, lack of spots on the abdomen, undeveloped chin, small eye size. Among the disqualifying vices are lack of ticking in bronze and silver cats, white points and or medallion on the chest, ticking in smoky animals, wrong number of fingers, testicles not descended into the scrotum, atypical eye pigmentation, obvious deformities of the skeleton, complete absence of spots, amputated claws, deafness. The character of the Egyptian Mau. The breed is famous not only for its spectacular beauty but also for its cheerful disposition. These animals are clockwork toys that do not run on batteries but at least with the help of a perpetual motion machine. The Egyptian Mau loves to try on different roles. In the mornings, the cat skillfully pretends to be an alarm clock, during the day it prefers to be a tireless fidget, and in the evening it becomes a purring antidepressant. With such a wonderful friend, every minute will become a bright holiday. Representatives of the breed are distinguished by inexhaustible energy and curious mind, which do not allow animals to sit in one place. Mau will certainly explore all the secret passages between the cabinets and the wall. Get ready to fish out the pet from the most unexpected hiding places. This spotted fidget will crawl wherever its curious face fits. To channel the energy of the Egyptian Mau into a peaceful channel will help moving toys, a string with a bow at the end or clockwork mice. Satisfying its hunting instinct, the cat will go on a well-deserved rest and will give you a few minutes of calmness. Breeders note, this breed is one of the most loyal and loving. Egyptian Mau treat all family members with fondness, but they consider one person to be the master. It is to this lucky cat that the cat is ready to give attention and love, but will never impose them. The spotted beauty will gladly soak in your arms, but will retire away at the first request. Taking into the house Egyptian, it is worth considering. This is a proud and self-sufficient animal, not a limp meowing lump. The breed cannot be called talkative. The Mau give their voice in exceptional cases, especially when it comes to delicacies. Cats rarely meow, prefer to communicate with their owner through purring, and boast a whole palette of these sounds. During the period of the so-called sexual hunt, females are especially loud. In order to avoid operatic lamentations, it is recommended to sterilize the capricious lady so that she does not require a date with the spotted gentleman. Egyptian Mau tolerate loneliness well and will not mind your career advancement. Sometimes the pet can get bored but will not allow itself extravagant antics like continuous meowing under the door and grinding its claws on a favorite sofa. At these moments, the nobility of the ancient pharaohs is especially traced in the cat. Instead of silly games with its own tail, the Mau will jump on the tallest cabinet and sit proudly until your return. The activity of animals is significantly dulled after eating. It is followed by a healthy and sound sleep, an invariable ritual that is observed by most of the breed. At the same time, it is important to give the pet a rest. Out of boredom and lack of energy, the cat will begin to eat and sleep more often, which will eventually make it a spotty and fairly plump colobok. Love for water is another unusual feature that distinguishes the Egyptians among their mustachioed brethren. This feeling manifests itself in different ways and depends on the nature of the cat. Some animals will happily jump into the recreated bath and rush in pursuit of drops, while others will confine themselves to a paw lowered into the water. Egyptian Mau are quite friendly creatures, so it won't be difficult for them to find a common language with other pets. It doesn't matter whether it is a cat or a dog, but you will have to wait a little with keeping birds and rodents. Wild African cats have rewarded their descendants with a desire to hunt, so the Mau can attack your little friend at any time. This breed gets along well with families with children. A more playful friend is hard to imagine. However, do not expect that the Egyptian Mau will allow your child to take liberties in the form of swaddling and bottle feeding. The cat will prefer to proudly leave if it decides that the child unceremoniously invades her personal space. Egyptian Mau is a suitable option for those who need a balanced friend. Despite its playful character, the animal always behaves with dignity and restraint, as if it still lives in the monastery of the pharaoh or serves as a talisman in the ancient temple of the Egyptians. Education and training. Representatives of the breed are distinguished by unique intelligence and impeccable manners, therefore they rarely need additional education. Mao owners have no difficulty in training cats to use the litter box and scratching post. Animals pretty quickly understand what is expected of them. This greatly facilitates the training process. Egyptian Mao are observant and intelligent, easily overcome obstacles and quickly get used to walking on a leash. If you wish, you can teach your pet in simple commands. The cat will demonstrate their execution for a delicious treat. Care and maintenance. The short-haired Egyptian Mao are picky about their content, but rest assured that you will not be allowed to leave such a charming beauty unkempt with remorse. These cats do a pretty good job of caring for their own fur coat, but combing the coat with a brush or mitten won't hurt an Egyptian Mao. This massage will not only give your pet a neat look, but also strengthen the hair follicles. The breed is famous for its cleanliness, so many Mao owners do without water procedures at all, with the exception of playing with mini waves in the bath. However, before participating in the exhibition, it is recommended to bathe your pet with a cat shampoo. For a silver Mao, you can pick up a tonic that will make the color more saturated and relieve the coat from yellowness. After taking a bath, and it can drag on for more than 1 hour due to the inexhaustible love of cats for water, eliminate the source of possible drafts so that the pet does not catch a cold. Egyptian Mao eye care is minimal. Due to their specific structure, they're rarely watery and there is practically no discharge in the corners. The animal's ears will have to pay more attention, in particular, expose them once a week and clean them with a damp cotton pad as needed. Oral hygiene is equally important. Once or twice a month, clean your cat's teeth from plaque with a paste. You can find it at a pet store. Use a brush or attachment. In extreme cases, a finger tightly wrapped in a bandage will do. From time to time, you can please your darling with special treats, which, due to their hardness, carry out prophylactic cleaning of teeth. Use a nail clipper to create a neat manicure on the legs of the Egyptian Mao. After the procedure, it is necessary to smooth out sharp edges and jags with a file. To do this as little as possible, teach your cat to use a scratching post. Otherwise, it will become a piece of furniture. Looking at the Egyptian Mao, it is difficult to imagine that a small gourmet and glutton is hiding in this graceful little body. Representatives of the breed love to eat well, so they do not control the amount of portions. This responsible mission lies with the owner, who must make sure that the pet moves actively, feeds in moderation and remains as graceful. It is preferable to feed the animal with premium food, dry or canned. In this case, ideally, you should pay attention to the options developed specifically for the breed. Egyptian Mao often suffer from food allergies, so finding the right food can take months. If you are ready to pamper your cat often with your own dishes, stock up on diet meats, sea fish, offal, seasonal vegetables and fruits, and sources of calcium. Health of the Egyptian Mao. Spotted Cleopatras are distinguished by strong immunity, therefore they rarely suffer from common animal ailments. In the middle of the 20th century, when the breed was just entering the international arena, its representatives suffered from asthma and cardiovascular diseases. However, breeders have worked hard to keep these incidents to a minimum with each new litter. Nowadays, diseases are quite rare, but the vulnerability of the respiratory system of the Egyptian Mao has not disappeared. It is highly recommended to protect your pet from smoke, dust and strong odors. Allergy remains the main scourge of the breed. If red spots appear on your cat's body, it is necessary to change its diet as soon as possible and consult a veterinarian for advice. How to choose a kitten. Despite the active work on breeding Egyptian Mao, purebred individuals are extremely rare and only in specialized nurseries. Met a spotted beauty on the open market? Don't be in a hurry to rejoice, probably, an ordinary Murzik hides under the characteristic color, for which they want to help out a lot of money. If you are applying for a bright representative of the breed, find the official cattery of the Egyptian Mao and do not forget to sign up for the kittens from the future litter. While waiting for your friend's birth, do not waste time, make inquiries about the breeder, if possible contact his former clients, see the achievements of the wards from this cattery. Often, breeders put up babies from related matings for sale, so it is necessary to familiarize yourself with the complete pedigree of kittens. Little lumps are weaned from their mother at the age of 3 months, when they no longer need care and can fend for themselves. When looking closely at the kittens, pay attention to the most playful and active. He definitely feels great. The kid should be moderately well fed and neat. Sticky hair, sour eyes or accumulation of sulfur in the ears, a reason to think, is it worth getting a kitten if he is unwell? Pay attention to the peculiarity inherent only in the Egyptian Mao. At 2 months, kittens have the appearance of fuzzing, rare and long hairs that make babies look like porcupines. This is not a defect in the breed, but only one of the stages in the formation of the coat. How much is the Egyptian Mau? The Egyptian Mau breed is one of the rarest and most expensive. The price of a cat starts at $700. The more the animal meets the standard, the higher the cost. You can save only on the black Egyptian Mau. Since the characteristic spots merge with the main color of the coat, such specimens are considered rejected and are not allowed for breeding and participation in exhibitions. However, if you are looking for a loyal and cheerful friend, the special color should not be an obstacle to the acquisition of the Egyptian Mau.